What's up, you guys? So today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the latest reveal made by Mattel, which is this year's San Diego Comic-Con exclusive product, the Convention Crasher playset, or I guess thing, or whatever it is. I don't know if I would count it as a playset. But let's get right into it, shall we? So the most notable thing about this set, which you may already have seen, is the Hammond Collection Buck. And I feel like we've seen this somewhere before. Oh yeah, that's right. This bullshit. Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the past, 3 years or so, let me explain what this is. So, back in San Diego Comic-Con around 2023, Mattel put out this new crowdfunding thing called the Jurassic Park Gates Crowdfund, or that's what I like to call it. And it was basically like Mattel's version of a Kickstarter crowdfund, where you pledged a certain amount of money, for this case $250, and you would unlock certain things. And of course, they had to include stretch goals. Like, for example, the Hammond Collection Buck was one of the stretch goals. Now, the original goal amount was 5,000 backers, which, I mean, how is anyone going to pay that much for all this stuff? Now, the main highlight of this set, at least to me, is the Hammond Collection Buck, which I will compare to the Buck once we get into it for the set. But overall, this was just a really dumb idea on Mattel's part, and it failed, obviously. And so we were pretty upset because we probably won't get Hammond Collection Buck anymore until the Convention Crash thing came out. So, yeah, let's get into the Convention Crasher. Now, first of all, we're just going to get this over with, because I don't really like this part. We're going to get into this guy that's dressed up like a dinosaur. Now, we all have definitely seen this costume, where this is the inflatable Tyrannosaurus, and it was released since the Jurassic World era, or I think it was Fallen Kingdom, I don't remember. It's a fairly recent inflatable costume, and it's become very popular, and Mattel has decided to make an inflatable dinosaur costume with a guy inside of it. But instead of putting his head behind a window, instead his head is exposed. But that's okay, because apparently there's an interchangeable head with this guy, which I don't necessarily understand why that is, but, I mean, hey, whenever it comes to Mattel, I learn not to question anything and just roll with it. But yeah, overall, I don't really like this guy. The costume looks really goofy and doesn't look anything like the official costume. Which, I mean, I guess that they can't necessarily replicate the costume one-on-one, but they own the license, so I don't understand why they can't, duplicate this costume fairly well. But, yeah, and apparently the dude is also holding a Convention Crasher set or something similar to it, because he's holding something that has very horrible art on it. And so, yeah, so let's move on to the other stuff. It also comes with some accessories like this, random backpack or tote bag with Jurassic Park in 2025 plastered on it, and a red piece of plastic that I think is meant to represent some goodies, I think. I don't necessarily know. It also comes with an interchangeable head, because we've already talked about that earlier. Apparently, it has an interchangeable head. And it also comes with a When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth banner, but instead says When Fans Ruled the Earth. Which, I don't necessarily know why they would, include that. I don't know. But now it's time to get into the highlight of this video, the Buck. Now, I do have to say right off the bat that this thing's colors are horrifically inaccurate to the actual Buck that we've seen in the Lost World. In fact, this thing's colors are more reminiscent of the Kenner Bull T-Rex released in 1997. But, yeah, apart from that, there's not really any issues with this figure, although we're going to have to compare it. This figure is actually horrifically downgraded from the previous Buck from the Gates Crowdfund. Like, for example, all the detail appears to be pretty absent. Like, for example, the darker color around its lips, or around its bottom lips. Apparently, Mattel decides not to paint that on this newer Buck anymore. Which, I don't understand why they decided not to do that at the end, because, I mean, the Gates Crowdfund Buck was the one that we wanted, but I mean, again, it's Mattel. They're just gonna do whatever they want, so there's nothing that we can do about it at this point. And also, there's no Duke-Claw paint anymore, which is actually really perplexing. They stopped adding the Duke-Claw paint on the bigger figures whenever they made the Spinosaurus, and oh boy, I really hope this doesn't become a new thing where now the bigger figures don't even get Duke-Claw paint anymore. Which, how hard is it to paint an extra toe claw, for crying out loud, Mattel? Now, despite this figure's severe lack of detail compared to the Gates Buck, I gotta say, I actually really like this figure, and it might be my new favorite Hammond collection figure. I mean, I really like the colors on it. I am sad that the detail is all gone now, but I really do like the colors on it, and I'm definitely going to try to get it once it releases on the Mattel Creations website. So, yeah, it will retail for $85, which, honestly, that's a bit much for just a giant T-Rex with a guy in a costume and some other accessories. Maybe if it was like the Outhouse Chaos set, and even then that was a little bit overpriced for its time. But, yeah, overall, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one, and goodbye.